Hello and welcome to the video. Today I'm on a stretch of canal on the outskirts of Blackburn, and it's a very special place to me because this is the place that I used to fish with my granddad about 45 years ago, and I spent so much time on this stretch fishing matches and pleasure fishing probably twice a week, so lots and lots of time spent on this stretch. In those days we used to catch gudgeon, little perch and small roach usually. The character and the nature of the canal's changed, and I'll tell you a little bit about that shortly. Got lots of these lilies now on this stretch, which is nice to see. Hoping they're going to be a nice fish holding spot. We've got some on the far bank, and as we go down the stretch there's a few on this side as well. So that is something that didn't used to be present on this stretch. It used to be fairly devoid of, well, weeds and certainly lilies. Further up to my right there used to be a bank of very small lilies that used to actually hold some carp in days gone by, but this stretch does look really good now. I'm hearing now that we've got lots of bream, we've got tench, and we've got some decent perch and roach in here as well, so I'm itching to get started. I'll tell you about the baits and the tactics and a bit more of a close-up view of the swim next. So the baits for today, the hook baits for today, I've got red maggots, I've got plenty of fresh juicy worms, and I'm also going to mix up some ground bait as well. 50-50 mix of Sonia Baits So Natural, Black River, and also some super black Silver X Roach. Other baits I've got, well, I've even got a tin of strawberry sweet corn. I'm not sure whether I'm going to crack the lid on that one, but we'll see. So the gear for today, you've probably seen it before if you've watched my other videos. I've got a Daiwa Ninja 3000 size reel. That's got some kind of high-tech line, but it's about a £6 breaking strain, I forget the brand to be quite honest. And I've got that attached to my MIDI carp Waggler rod. The reason it's quite a sturdy rod is we've got some tench in this area and also some decent bream apparently. So I've got a Drennan Waggler float on. I'm going to be using that to start off with. I'm also going to rig up my other rod. It's a 10-foot Shakespeare Omni rod, £3 line, a Sienna Shimano reel, 2,500 size, and I've got this very fine antenna float ready. I'm also going to combine that with a finer hook and hook length, size 18 to £2 bottom, which is 0.10mm diameter. So I'm going to use this to focus on the left hand area and hoping I might be able to get a few roach, perhaps some smaller fish there just on single red maggot. I'm going to use this worm whizzer to chop these worms up. It makes real quick work of the job rather than using chop worm scissors, but basically you pull this cord out and it spins the blades and chops them up. So I'll be using that, and I'm going to feed an area, just got a little dark patch just there. It's just at the bottom of a slope. You'll find that there's a shelf generally on many canals, and then it drops down into deeper water, and then it sort of may continue to drop down again, but just at the bottom of that slope, that's where I'm going to put the first bit of bait, some chopped worm. And I think what I will do a little bit later is fish the other side there with some maggots. See how I go. And then I'm going to put a bowl with 2 of ground bait over there, perhaps with some chopped worm and some corn in further across, just sort of this side of those lilies. So that's the plan. Let's chop these worms up, get a little bit of bait in, and then we'll cast in. So as they say, it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. It's a bit of worm slop. I'm going to put that just in that area out there, that plumb, which is just at the bottom of the slope there. So one little bowl of that, small pinch of that, and then the rest of it, well, not the rest of it, but a good proportion of this, I'm going to put in the ground bait that I've got ready there, mix that up again, and then put a couple of bowls of ground bait on that furthest line, as I said earlier. A couple of bowls of ground bait. I'm going to mix 2 firm ones and perhaps a lighter one as well. It's going to create a bit of a cloud, so 2 sort of firmly squeezed bowls of ground bait and 1 less so. These will stay on the bottom. It does get a bit of tow on the canal, and it also gets boats coming through, so I want them to stay in position. And the less firmly squeezed one, I want that to create the cloud. So that's what I'll do now. Pop those in. Just orientate my camera. I mean, that's pretty good throwing as far as I'm concerned. I usually go a little bit awry sometimes, my balls of ground bait. Obviously it'd be much more accurate if you were feeding with a pole and a pole pot, but I just liked fishing with a rod and line these days. So right, that's that furthest line fed. I've also fed the near side worm line. I'll come back to the feeding the maggots in that area a little bit later, but I'm going to kick things off by fishing the worm on this near side line to start off with. So basically I've got a couple of swims, as I say, on the go. I've plumbed the depth up, I've measured it as I always do against the rod ring. So this first one is what, 1, 2, just over the joint of the rod there. That's for the first swim, the near side one, and the one further across is 4.5 rod rings up the rod. So yeah, that's how I can tell the difference and have those two now set, and I can alternate between one and the other and just adjust the float up and down the line as I need to. So let's get a cast in. The gear that I've got on is quite beefy, and the reason for that is that we've got tench in this area. I did once catch a big carp a long time ago in this very spot. It is going back a lot of years, but yeah, I'm going to stick a big worm on the hook. It's just wriggled off. I've got barbless hooks on at the moment, so yeah, might spring off the hook. Big piece of worm on, and I'm just going to present it now over that area that I fed that chop line. Just check me drag. So yeah, the reason I'm fishing quite a beefy tackle is that there are some bigger fish in here. I did come for a little walk along here the other day. That's what sort of prompted me to come. And a chappie here, lovely couple of chaps actually we're chatting to, told me that he got a tench here last week, and it gave him a right run around. So, and also he'd had 1 or 2 nice perch, and then later in the day when we were walking back, he'd caught a bream. So yeah, bigger fish, so the line strength and the hook is matched accordingly. I won't be afraid to drop down to a sort of a finer hook link and smaller hook later on, but for now let's just see how we go. Don't think it's very regularly fished along here. You get the odd anglers on here, but days gone by it was absolutely rammed along here, and matches were sort of Wednesday night matches with sort of 30 and 35 people, and yeah, the world's changed quite a lot since then. Very rarely do you see people on canals these days, as I often will say on my videos, but they are wonderful places to fish. So that's just settling down, just cast it out a little bit further. I'm expecting possibly perch on here, but it is early in the morning, so we sometimes do get some of the bigger fish active at this time of day on canals. The sun is rising up. It's probably been up about an hour. I had planned on getting up at 4 AM this morning and set my alarm, and then in the middle of the night I was umming and ahhing about whether to come here, and decided to knock my alarm off, and I think I put it to 5:30, so I'm a little bit later than I expected, but at least I'm here. Well, the sun's coming up a bit more now. With my sunglasses on, it's sort of staring me right in the face here. I've got a nice little dark patch where I've got my little red top float, hopefully ready to shoot under at any moment. start just throwing a few maggots into that left hand side. I'm not worrying about being too accurate. Just put a couple of little handfuls in over there. And I've got my other lighter rod rigged up just to my right, but I have seen just a little bit beyond where I fed that chopped worm a lot of bubbles coming up, which I'm suspecting might be tench. So I'm just going to concentrate on this worm line for a little while longer. If nothing's forthcoming, then I'll move across to the left with that perhaps a single red maggot on that lighter hook link. So about 45 minutes in, I've just been sort of re-rigging things really. I just felt that the setup that I've gone was maybe a little bit too heavy. I had one bite, the water's very clear, so I've put a finer hook link on. I've actually put this stuff on, which is £3 8 ounce Drennan tough line. It's 0.144mm, which is much finer than the main line that I was just fishing straight through on before. So I've changed that, changed the hook link, and what I'm going to do now, although I have fed and continue to feed maggots on this left hand area, I haven't yet gone across there, because I am seeing now that over the other side where I put that ground bait in, I am getting fizzing on there. So before I get any more boats or more activity on the canal, I am going to have a little go across there. Unfortunately the weeds just come across at the moment, but once that passes, I can see if I can just cast it in a little gap and miss that. No, I think I'll wait for it to go past. So I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to get it across there. There's just a little bit of a gap there. I do ideally want to sink my line, but there's one or two bits of floating weed causing an issue or two there, but I'm kind of there or thereabouts. I've put a big worm on, but yeah, I'm getting lots and lots of bubbling over that area where I fed across there, so I can't resist it any longer. I've got to have a go. Well, I've just taken a layer off, and I saw my rod sort of going towards the canal, and I've got a hybrid just caught on worm, so that's a good start. Well, that was an interesting couple of minutes. I was taking a layer off, which involves taking this little chest harness off that I've got my camera on, and taking my hoodie off, and then my base layer, because I was getting too hot, and I just left me floating, and I could see my rod tip being sort of dragged round towards the canal, and on the end was a nice hybrid. Cast out again and just lost a perch close in, so definitely fish now in the swim. Quite a lot of people on the towpath, and I'm a little bit concerned about them spooking the fish really, because one or two of them do come and have a chat to you. The dogs are bounding all over the place, they're sort of dragging them from away from your bait and causing a bit of a commotion on the bank. So I'm not sure whether that's going to affect things, because the water is very clear. But I've got one fish in the net, one lost fish, and I'm continuing to see bubbles over the far side, so let's see how we go. Well, I've finally got something else on. I think it's another bream, or a bream. This time on sweet corn. Let's see if we can get it in. Oh yeah. It's a big... Blimey, that is a big slab. Good grief. That's a lump. An absolute beauty. Well, that's a slab in the net, coming to sweet corn. Beautiful fish for a canal. Okay, let's get it back. So I'm regarding this as a bit too big to put in the keep net, so I'm just going to let it go just a little bit further up. There we go. That's a good result. So yeah, as I said at the beginning, I used to fish this stretch with my granddad many years ago. I used to drag him for miles along this canal. He always used to wonder why we didn't just used to fish next to the bridge. You know, why do we have to go all the way around there? But we had some really happy times and fished in this, pretty much this exact spot a few times. Good days, good times, good memories. I'm also used to fish matches. These used to be Wednesday evening matches with the Northern Anglers Blackburn Centre, as it was known. Long since gone is that club. It used to be a really big, popular club. Fished a couple of junior nationals with them, and lots of matches, winter league matches and summer league matches, you name it. Really brilliant days those were. Fantastic group of guys, and really supportive of young anglers, you know, taking us in the car to different places, giving us tips. Just brilliant days. So whilst I have my brew and just wait for the water to settle down, I will tell you a funny little tale, a funny little story of something that happened on here many years ago. We used to have junior matches on here, and there was one year when I was weighing in other words, I had all the scales and I was going from competitor to competitor at the end of the match, weighing everybody in. And I got to one lad and he lifted his keep net out of the water and tipped out a couple of gudgeon with a dead squirrel in his net. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what the hell? And this is honestly, I swear, a true story. And I said, what's that? He said, it's a squirrel, I caught it. What do you mean you caught it? Well, I thought I caught it. It was going past, floating dead on the canal, and I pulled it out and put it in my net. Does that not count? Like, no, you can't weigh dead squirrels in. But this poor little young lad, about 8 years old, was at the first ever fishing match and had seen this dead squirrel floating past, got it in his net, stuck it in his keep net, and thought he could weigh it in on the match. Absolutely bonkers. And that happened about 300 yards to my left here in about 1983, something like that. Absolutely hilarious, but yeah, fun times. Well, got a skimmer. Just gone over that close-in swim with a worm. And we've got a lovely skimmer. Have a quick look at it. There we go. Fall into worm that time. So up until now I haven't had really an opportunity to try this lighter rig on this different rod, so I'm just going to try it now. It's been very sort of weedy, a lot of floating weeds, so much more delicate float and more difficult to get it to fall through the water, actually through the surface for this floating weed. So let's give it a little go now. Had a couple of boats go through now. Second one came through at a rate of knots. Some of the boat owners come through nice and slow for you and slow down. Other ones don't give them monkeys and just zip through your swim. Well, that's what happened with the last one. Probably been fishing about, I don't know, a couple of hours now. And it's been slow, but I've had some decent fish. I mean, compared with how it used to be on here, I would have been absolutely over the moon to catch fish of that stamp when I used to fish it with my granddad many years ago, but I suppose I'm being a bit greedy now, aren't I? So I've come onto that near sideline and tried single red maggots, and just had a bite and missed it, and then I've got this next cast, so nice little perch. Let's carry on, trickling a few maggots in and see if we can put a few perch or a little roach together. Nice little perch in the net, coming to maggots. Perch number 2. Let's get this in the net and see if we can get a few more. Well, blimey, got the goose flotilla here. I don't know how many's in this, whatever you call it, this group. But yeah, they're going to be a while coming through because they stretch all the way down the canal. There's probably 100 birds here. So I decided to take my keep net out. It's quite hot, and this particular bank's quite shallow under the feet, so I haven't got that many fish in. I've got 3 perch, a hybrid and a little skimmer. I've just returned those. I'm just going to concentrate and see if I can catch better quality fish. That might be quite hard because the sun's up and it's very, very strong. Taking several layers off because I was getting too hot. So let's see how we go now. Well, you can probably guess what happened as soon as I switched the camera off. Get a little roach. See if we can get one for camera this time. Famous last words, eh? So when I used to come up here as a teenager, we used to get up here on the bus. We used to get the bus outside Blackburn Royal Infirmary, as it was known then, and travel up here on the bus with all our gear. Not that we had as much gear as we tend to these days, but clambering on the bus with a, well, then wicker basket, and then I got like a fiberglass thing that was like enormous when I used to do my match fishing. And one of the guys from the team, very well known match angler in the northwest, a guy called Jeff Dawn, sadly passed away. Wonderful guy. He had a fishing tackle shop really close to my house, so what I'd always do is before I went out fishing, I'd go into the tackle shop, get me bait, have a little chat to him, and then get on the bus and come up here. And I can remember one day got to my peg feeling pretty exhausted really, and what I found out when I opened my basket, or my box as it was then, was that he'd put a couple of house bricks in whilst I was chatting to his wife in the shop. And unbeknown to me, they was hidden away under my tackle, and I'd carried them on the bus and then all the way up the length of the canal, and only discovered them when I got to the other end. So yeah, thanks Jeff. Good times though, good times. This is a better one. A bit further out, blimey. It's a bit of a scrapper. I'm wondering whether this might be a hybrid. Oh, it's a nice perch actually. Nice, let's get it back. Single maggot. Funny, just a little bit further out, that one. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe they're just sitting just a little bit further out in that deeper water. We'll feed this time a little bit further out. We'll try it again. So thank goodness for perch. I've had perch on worm over where I ground baited, and I've just come closer in on maggot, single red maggot. I've had this perch from close in, so that's the only thing that's biting at the moment, these lovely perch. But it's keeping things going. So I've gone a bit quiet on the bigger fish line, so just having a bit of fun with these perch now. Catching one or two on maggots. A little roach as well, so I'm just happy to be getting a few bites. Sometimes you just got to just do this on the canal. I think if you get on when the light levels are low, there's quite a bit of colour in the canal, you stand much more of a chance of catching the better stamp fish. But as it gets brighter, like on a bright sunny summer day, you just got to just have a go and just see what you can catch on maggots or something else, you know, bread punch. Just be happy to go for the smaller fish and get a few bites. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, just keeping sport going. Oh, I got something on, I think it's a perch. Yep. Nice. To that worm, here we go, getting bites anyway. Pop it back. So that's another perch, just about a swinger. Oops, again coming to worm. Marvellous. So as is typical, that perch took the bait all the way down its throat. And one tip I will give you, and I've learnt this over the last couple of years, is to get some of these little forceps with a curve on, because they make unhooking deep hook perch very, very easy rather than just a standard disgorger. So I caught a little perch on worm, and then I thought, right, just put a little bunch of red maggots on. So I've just done that and had 2 perch and 2 chucks, not very big. And I've continued to just put a little pinch of maggots over that left hand side there as well. It's always the way, isn't it? As soon as you put your camera on, the bites dry up. So just a bit of an update. Last few hours has been all about perch really. Thankfully they've been in the swim and I've been able to catch quite a few, both on red maggots, just watching me float here, and also on worms as well. I'd tried to kick-start the ground baited swim, put another couple of bowls in there with chopped worm and corn, hoping that a bream might turn up, or a tench or a skimmers, but that's not happened. But as I say, fortunately we've had a few perch and they've come pretty regularly throughout the last couple of hours, so I'm going to just keep experimenting. Not seeing any signs of any sort of bubbling or whatnot, you know, from any skimmers or bream or tench even. But yeah, managing to string a few bites together, and well, it's great to be back on this stretch of the canal, to be quite honest. Well, little perch on worm. Pop it back. Bit of a better perch that, caught on worm. Catching plenty close in on maggot, but swapped to worm, cast a bit further out and caught this one. Lovely. Now, little lift of the float and then whoop, here we go. Oh, the perch. Thank goodness for perch today. Another one in the net. And the beautiful colours, look at that. Great. Shall we have one more cast over there? Go on then. One more cast and then we'll have a look on that further outline. It is. So, hooked onto something here. I think it might be an eel. I'm just talking to a chap here who's been talking about eels, and what's happened? I've caught an eel. I can get it in. Whoop. Thought it just buried under and then carried on. That's a big one as well. Blimey, it is a big one. Oh, it's in the net. Happy days. That's a good size eel. Oh, it's dropped out. It's gone through a hole in my net. I'll have to edit that bit out of YouTube. Bleeding hell. There's a big eel. Obviously they are protected, so I'm going to make sure it's alright, but yeah, it's found the hole. Oh, it's dropped off. It's dropped off. Well, that was an eel, probably about £2. Well, that was a bit of drama, unexpected. Just talking to a chap for about the last, I don't know, about an hour, been nattering away. He's been telling me that he's caught eels on here in the past, and just hooked into that. Hey ho, a blooming eel. But what I hadn't realised is that there's a split on my landing net, which is there. It's a fairly new landing net, this. And the seam, there's a hole there, and it sort of slipped through that. I tried to turn the net round and get it back the other way with a view to perhaps just handing it out, and then fortunately it just sort of dropped off. So after that eel, I've had a couple more perch. I've been catching perch pretty much all afternoon on either maggot or worm, but yeah, I think I'll call it quits there and move on. But it's been a great day. It's been interesting coming back onto the stretch of canal that I used to fish as a teenager with my granddad. So yeah, the fish have been much bigger than we're used to catching, and yeah, it's been a way of sort of getting back to your roots and just getting those memories going again, the good times in the 1970s and 80s. So it's been a really special day. So thank you so much for watching. Tight lines, good luck in your own fishing, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.